On Saturday, November 19, 2016, an organization called the National Policy Institute held a conference in the Ronald Reagan Building and International Trade Center in Washington, D.C. The National Policy Institute is a white nationalist think tank and is classified as a white supremacist organization by the Southern Poverty Law Center. The current head of the National Policy Institute, Richard Spencer, created the term alt-right as a descriptor for far-right conservatism in the United States, and he affiliates himself and NPI within the alt-right movement. Spencer has called for, quote, peaceful ethnic cleansing in the United States and has referenced German Nazi propaganda and phrases in his public speeches. President-elect Donald Trump has selected a prominent self-identified alt-right journalist, Stephen Bannon, to be the White House chief strategist in his administration. NPI has stated its support for Trump, the selection of Bannon, as well as the selection of Jeff Sessions for Attorney General. The protest was organized by the groups Smash Racism DC and the DC Anti-Fascist Coalition. Smash Racism DC describes itself as a multiracial front committed to ending racism and white supremacy, acting against appeasement of the rhetoric of hate and accommodation of its message in the public sphere. The DC Anti-Fascist Coalition describes itself as an anti-racist, anti-fascist coalition against racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, transphobia, and discrimination against the disabled, the oldest, the youngest, and the most oppressed people. The event publicity called for protesting Trump's alt-right base and the racist, sexist, and anti-immigrant hate, which is powered by groups like the National Policy Institute. Quote, we want to show our numbers to the press who will be attending NPI's press conference, make noise, chant, and be generally disruptive to the event. The primary demands of the protesters, according to their chants at the event, were for the Trump administration to disown the alt-right, to oppose racism, and the NPI. The main techniques for mobilizing the protest and strategizing it seem to be utilizing social media, such as Facebook and Twitter, to plan and publicize the event. As well, after initially beginning the protest in front of the Trump International Hotel and then walking up 14th Street to a particular entrance of the Ronald Reagan Building, it was the intent of the protesters to block that entrance and exit where it had been rumored that some of the conference attendees were going to leave the building. Whether or not they ultimately did or whether that information was inaccurate, I did not witness any attendees leaving the building, so it's possible that once the group gathered in the courtyard of the Ronald Reagan Building, that security rerouted conference attendees to another exit. But there were reports that at the beginning of the protest, some attendees of the conference, of NPI's conference, had decided to leave the building and mix into the protest in order to directly interact with the protesters. And there was reports of one physical altercation at that time between a protester and a conference attendee.
From the crowd while we talk in the microphone. Okay. So why are you here today?
So NPI is a white supremacist group, and they've released statements about ethnic cleansing and just general white supremacy, anti-racism, anti-immigrant. So it's really just here to fight all of those things and show the world that that's not what we stand for and that's not American.
Okay. And what do you think about the tactics that the protesters using today?
I think the only thing I'm concerned with is that it's not extremely organized as many protests are, and I'm nervous that the group is going to come out of a different entrance. But other than that, I mean, there's a lot of different groups here, so I like that the support is coming from a lot of different places, which I think is really good, and they've done a really good job of having people from all of those different groups speak and really have different voices heard.
So was the point of the protest to just protest in the area, or to make the NPI attendees walk through?
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate goal. And there's been protests for all of their activities throughout the weekend. So last night and believe as well. So it's really just showing them that, you know, this is not okay, we don't support this, and having people there to show, you know, that that's not what we stand for.
Is protesting your preferred method of civil disobedience, or do you think that there are other methods that are more effective?
I think there's a lot of methods, and I think it really just depends on who you are, because I think, you know, protest isn't for everyone, but also, you know, calling your senator and working with the system isn't for everyone. And so it really, I think it's good that there are so many different ways to voice your opinion.
And then we'll just use it here.
That's fine.
Okay, so why are you here today?
To mainly protest fascism and the rise of neo-Nazis.
Okay, and what do you think about this method of protest, or this specific protest? Do you think that it's effective?
Well, it's definitely, I mean, you hear the news right now, our voices are being heard. You know, the media is talking about us. I think being heard by the entire country and the world even is important. So this is something that will definitely show that we have a presence, that we're opposing this, and we're not going to go quietly. And we don't want to normalize this election, the results of these elections. Whatever the result was, you know, whether it be, you know, through democratic process or not, that's not the point. What we're protesting is the normalization of white nationalism. And you can see that, you know, who Trump is electing right now, appointing, my fault, into his cabinet are all associated with white nationalism. So that's something we want to not normalize. Show that we are against it. Show the nation that it's not okay. That if they feel like it's not okay, that they can stand with us, and it will never be normal. That's our hope with this type of protest.
And what do you think about protest as a tool of conflict or an act of civil disobedience? Do you think it's effective, or do you prefer other methods?
I do prefer other methods, but this is the one that's most readily available to us within the law, and you know, we gotta operate within our means. So right now, this is the option that's best available to us. Obviously, a lot of us have other avenues and other resources which we should all explore. But right now, this is one of the options we have.
Fascists, we will shut you down. 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 Fascists, we will shut you down.
We're all going to
Shut you down. Fascists, we will 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 shut you down.